American Eagle shares rally
Decision did need a
as
maturity extension. They also needed new money. So there was different
ad campaign. Mike, ad campaign? No, not me. Right?
You said not you.
No, Sydney
Sydney
Sweeney.
Sweeney. Close though.
She's an actress.
Yes.
Okay.
Euphoria.
All right. Mary Ross Gilbert. I'm throwing it to Mary Ross Gilbert. It's her problem here.
She'll
Senior
tell us.
equity analyst covering the retail for Bloomberg Intelligence. Mary Ross, what's going on with our good friends at American Eagle here? Is this a meme stock now?
They don't need a maturity extension.
You could say that it's partly meme, right? Because the stock today is up 12%, and it started running up over the past couple of weeks when the new Sydney Sweeney ad campaign, and that debuted on July 23rd. But if you look at where the shares are, they're up 14% today, but they're down 34% year to date and down 44% over the past year. So it's not like it's kind of out of that negative territory, based on where the shares are today. And that really had to do with some execution issues in the first quarter. They got some assortments wrong, and they had to take heavy markdowns to move that out so that they could be in a good position in the second quarter. When we look at the sales for the second quarter, and it's over, right? But in our data, we have a 5-day lag. But when you look at the data, their sales look like they're tracking up about 1.6%, and that compares to consensus for negative 6% and guidance of down 5%. So they're tracking ahead of that. And when we sort of look at when the campaign debuted, they were tracking at close to up 1%, so they did get a little bit of a lift from the campaign. So I think, it's been controversial, but we think the controversy over the campaign, saying that it's more than just about jeans, we think that's inaccurate and overdone, and we think it's all about jeans.
So talk to us about the controversy for those who aren't aware. What exactly is going on here, and why is President Trump making a comment here today?
Well, first of all, just to address your question, Nora, on President Trump. President Trump basically said that she's a registered Republican, and that's what he was sort of Xing about, right, or tweeting about, whatever you want to call it. And so that's really where that comes from. With regard to the campaign and the controversy, there's a reference to genes, in that your hereditary genes, when really it's meant to be a pun, and the company does use the word denim jeans, spelled Jeans. And so some of the media has kind of run with it and said, how can this company whose DNA is really based around, think about their brand, Airy, and being who you are. But, when and this campaign has got sort of a sexy connotation. But, I think that women like to feel sexy too. So, and these are young women. They're really targeting Gen Z. And so, and look, if you see what's happening with the campaign, it's created billions of media impressions. And on YouTube with their ad campaign, they already garnered in less than 2 weeks 4.6 million views. So that looks pretty strong.
Definitely. When you think about the strength here of the consumer, can you just speak about how much of an impact here retail shoppers, consumers here really have on these companies?
Yeah, so, with the consumer, we're seeing real resilience, right? We had some weaker jobs data that came out on Friday, but we're still at full employment when you think about it. When you have unemployment rate in the low 4s, we're really at full employment, and we're seeing a lot of resilience with the consumer. It really comes down to having good fashion, the right product, and you'll get your sales. And American Eagle is greatly positioned, being in the value segment. You really get good value, and I think they're positioned well for back to school, given their core customer base.
Well, guess what? Like, all of that work was for naught, and you probably lost money. So
you're out there in Los Angeles. I know the schools go back there early. So back to school, but more importantly, holiday season. What's the early read?
Well, we don't have like an early read, but generally I'm still optimistic about the consumer. I am not seeing anything out there that tells me that they're not resilient. And when we look at the surveys for back to school, apparel is one of the largest categories they plan to spend on. And where they might be, lowering their spend in certain categories, it's not apparel. We're actually seeing an increase in what consumers are saying in these surveys for apparel. So I think it's very important when they think about, heading back to school that they look good.
Yep. All right, Mary, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Some things never change. Mary Ross Gilbert, senior equity analyst covering all the retailers for Bloomberg Intelligence. She's based out there in our Los Angeles bureau.